There we go.
Got it.
I'm a little nervous that I just spelled Sennaar wrong, but we're we're about to find out. And Sennaar. Yes, that is correct. All right. There we go. Well, welcome to Next Level from Level with Emily, a podcast where we interview mostly composers, but other people who make audio for games. I host the show. I'm Emily, and Sam here with me is the producer and audio engineer extraordinaire.
That's right.
Yeah. Hi, Sam.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
Doing all right. Yeah.
Yeah. Now
Got the sun shining right in my eyes right now, which is weird.
that is
Doesn't
weird.
usually happen on, it's just we hit the right
Yep. Because 2 weeks
timing.
from now, I bet that won't be the case when we're back
Yeah,
here.
probably not.
Yeah, probably not. But it's crazy. It's been one of those weird, it's been a weird winter. And today it's actually felt like winter. And tomorrow it won't. And
Right.
yesterday certainly didn't either.
Yeah.
So, well, yesterday did, starting at about 2 in the afternoon. It started to get really cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Very strange.
Yeah.
I know people are all over the place, around the globe are having weird weather stuff, and ours has been just a very pleasant winter.
I know, right? That we've been punished with. Psychologically, it has been punishing because I'm so grateful. So grateful, especially after last winter was so just brutally painful. I've saved so much money, and yet it's such a tainted gratitude, right? It's tainted. It's not pure because we know, or most of us, I think, know that this isn't natural. Is it natural to have a mild winter during an El Nino year? Yes, that is completely normal. And the last time we hardly had much snow was an El Nino year. However, this is extremely warm winter. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I won't go. I just did go there, but yeah. Sorry. It's been a day. It's been a good day though. It's been a good day. So anyway, other than that, you're well. We're about to, in a moment, talk about this week's guest, which will be Thomas Brunet, talking about Chants of Sennaar. So excited to share this conversation with everybody. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. But I think since the last time we were here, Sam, did you not go see Madame Web?
Yeah.
Did you love it as much as everybody else has loved it?
Well, I wasn't expecting it to be a great movie. But I laughed harder than I've laughed in a movie in a long, long time. It was a lot of fun. I honestly recommend it. And
do you recommend people spend their hard-earned dollars on it, or do you recommend people just, I don't
honestly, know. If you like going to theaters and getting some popcorn,
yeah,
it's a good time. It's a fun time, especially if you try to pay attention and follow the plot and stuff.
Yeah, that's the challenging part.
Yeah. It's a hilarious movie, and I kind of liked it a lot.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, well, what have you had? What are your thoughts on Chants of Sennaar so far? This wonderful indie game, and about where you learn languages, basically, as you're puzzling through the game, you learn things through context. It's one of those games you can only truly experience once, right? Because after you finish it, it's ruined, quote unquote, for you.
Right.
But anyway, so that kind of sets the scene, and beautiful art and all that. But what do you think of it? What did you think of it?
Well, the music was super duper fun.
Yeah.
And I loved the palette of instruments.
Yeah.
I loved how like not boring and straightforward, like the rhythm and it doesn't, there's no there's no cheap beats or anything like that. There's no it's just it's an interesting grouping of instruments doing interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And it sounds beautiful. And I haven't listened to a ton of the interview yet, and I'm curious
Mm-hmm.
to hear more,
Yeah.
just about how all that instrumentation came together.
Yes.
But but yeah, just really cool juxtapositions of sounds and rhythms and things, and it it when it does get kind of any sort of straightforward, it's still really interesting, and the palette of instruments is still really cool. So yeah,
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought of it a lot when I first heard it. It reminded me a lot of ballet music or incidental music, and I never did tell him this, which I found surprising because I had it in my notes. Um,
Yeah,
and maybe I told it to him off the record, and because sometimes I don't listen to the off the record stuff, I
right,
just go
right.
straight to the meat to do
Yeah.
the edit. But he, the way the music is written in ballet, or incidental music for a play, like a play that has music to it that isn't, there's not singers or whatever. There's just music there, like a soundtrack.
Hmm.
Those, historically, Stravinsky ballets, Tchaikovsky ballets, or even some of Stravinsky's smaller works, like his, you know, super duper pared down music, or even Aaron Copland, early 20th century. Appalachian Spring is a great example. The chamber part, the stuff where there's just a handful of players. It's like
Hmm.
music is really involved and intricate. There's a lot going
Hmm.
on with just this
Hmm.
handful of players. And it's much more in the front of the experience than it is background ambient, right?
Hmm.
There,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's the music is much more active, I think, than what we hear in a lot of scores. Which a lot of scores, you've got your ambi exploration music, and you've got
Hmm.
your combat music, and you've got your cinematic music.
Right.
But while the gameplay is happening, you're just hearing a lot of ambi. And
Hmm.
I'm overgeneralizing, and there are many great examples of games and scores that are not like that. But
Right, right, right.
that's what I'm getting at, is that this music seemed to be so in the front, and I really loved that.
Hmm.
I don't know if any of that made sense.
I think so. Yeah, yeah, it made sense to me. And yeah, the
Yeah.
like when you have like an ensemble rather than like an orchestra,
Yeah.
it's you get a much more intimate take on all the instruments, and that's part of the sound of everything for sure. Is you get much more because if you've got like a wind section, I know you know this, but I'm partially just
Yeah.
talking to the audience here. But
Of
if you got
course.
like a wind section, you've got you know they're covering up each other's kind of noises that it's all making. It kind of blends all together. But when you have to have one instrument, you hear all the clickety clack and the air being pushed through, and it's really much more. Gets closer to your ears. All those sounds, much
Yeah.
more ASMR. I'm
The only
starting my new
time
channel,
anybody
ASMR flute.
ASMR flute, dude, I bet if you Google it, it's been done. I'm
Yeah, it
just
probably
maybe
has.
not, but
Who knows what they're doing with the flute, but
who knows what they're doing with ASMR, man? Those two things
yeah,
together scare me. Rated X, rated M for mature. No, probably not. Maybe though.
yeah.
Um,
No,
yeah,
but yeah, and I
yeah,
think that sort of sound comes through in it, and I really like that a lot too. It's like yeah,
yeah,
it sounds like a group you could like hear at a club
yeah.
or something like that, you know.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Let's listen to some.
Okay.
Let's listen to some. Um, pardon me. We're gonna go down to the very bottom track because he considers that the theme,
Okay.
Bond Forged, which is the 15th final track on the soundtrack album. So let's listen to some of this. Bonds Reforged. Oh, I think the volume's up already. So here we go. I love that because you can hear like you're saying, everything, the clarinet is doing these little like grace notes. So it
Mm-hmm.
just kind of sounds like it's flitting around in the back. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's kind of hard to hear, but I want to back it up and just hear that again because I just love
Yeah.
that. It just sounds like everybody just decided to stand on the corner and play a tune,
Yes.
in the
Yes.
best possible way. Like, yeah. All right. So I'm just going to back it up just a little
You might
bit.
want to just turn it down, the music down just a touch.
Down a little bit. Do you hear it back there flitting around? Did you hear that?
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah,
super cool.
I
Yeah.
love that so much.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I was really, it was that sort of stuff was what was really pulling me in to
Yeah,
listening to it. I was like, ooh, this is really neat. And it wasn't just, it's not just doing some sort of like hip hop loop, you know what I mean? It's
right,
like
right.
they're doing really complex, long, like lines, you know what I mean? Long phrases.
Yes.
And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Let's listen to a little bit more of that one because I keep interrupting it.
yeah.
Is the volume better?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So good.
Yeah, it feels really organic and natural and like it just yeah, it's super cool.
Yep.
It also it just feels like it's interesting combinations and that makes it kind of modern and new,
Yeah. Yeah.
like a Bjork record or something like that.
Well, yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, and he does address the instrumentation fairly early on. We talk about that, which is fun. Um, what are do you have any ones you want to hear in particular?
Uh I wrote a few down,
Yeah,
just taking them in order. The first one I wrote down was called Forgotten Bonds.
yeah.
And I was noticing once again, this has been coming up, it seems more and more often on these game scores, is this plinky percussion or plinky sounding instruments to make percussion.
Hmm.
And this one just has a really nice flavor to it.
Yeah,
You know, yeah.
yeah. He's a percussionist, and he studied all kinds of
Okay.
world percussions as well, which I love.
That's
So
so
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, it
I know.
maybe that I was gonna say that's it seems like almost took some more restraint not to make these like repetitive loops and things, but maybe because he's a
Maybe.
percussionist, he likes things complicated
Yeah,
and more interesting than that. So yeah.
yeah. Maybe so. Maybe so. All right. So this is Forgotten Bonds, and I should have paid attention to the volume and I didn't, so tell me if it's up too high or low again. I could just stay there forever.
Yeah. Is that nice? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's really wonderful. The flute in here is so beautiful, and that's one of the things about the very first track that I love so much is, I hadn't played the game before I
Hmm.
set up the interview, and I'd only kind of spotted through the music and knew enough based off of others' recommendations that I would want to interview him. So when I finally did, start at song one and hit go. And then I was, wandering around the what house doing whatever I was doing. And you'll hear in the opening track what you hear. And then there's a moment where the flute comes in. And I didn't expect a flute based off of what I had heard so far.
Yeah, right, right.
And I do talk in the conversation with Thomas about how meaningful that was because it was such a surprise to my ears, you know?
Hmm.
So we'll listen to that point. I think it's like a solid minute. So
Okay.
uh, before the flute comes in, but
What's this one called?
this is the very first track on the
Okay.
soundtrack called "Out of the Cavern and Into
Okay,
the Light."
yeah, yeah. I had that one written down too, and
Oh, cool.
I said to go in 22 seconds, so just listening up to through there makes sense too.
Yes,
It's
yes,
also just
perfect.
super cool.
It's
Yeah.
a really beautiful, beautiful track. So, yeah, here we go. Out of the cavern and into the light. It still gives me chills. Like,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
nothing about that beginning. And I listened, very closely after the fact too. And I'm like, okay, well, there are strings and there's clarinet. So that could set me up for the flute. But I think you're so drawn to the duduk, which is you
Mhm.
know what a duduk is, I know, but
Yeah.
it's a double reed. It's like the instrument we heard right off the bat. It's very, very, very says Middle Eastern. It says,
Right.
I
Right.
am Middle East. And there's also the like dulcimer sounds, but the other thing is the Tuvan throat singing, which of course is a sample, but still, it's
Hmm.
Tuvan, Tuva, which is Asian, right?
Right.
So you're just, I mean, that when that flute came in with that line, it just takes my breath away. I find
Yeah.
it's beautiful surprise, you know?
Hmm. No, I think that's exactly like the kind of thing I was thinking about with like it just feeling like very fresh and new because it's just an interesting collection of sounds together and it sounds cool and it sounds great and it's the kind of thing I wish people would just do way way more of, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It's like why does every band have to be, you know, two guitars, bass and drums or maybe a keyboard player and or something
Yeah.
like that. It's like
Yeah.
let's get
Luckily, I
going
think
people, put
little
together
people.
fun ensembles, make new sounds.
Yes, so true. Yeah. It's so true. Yeah. No, this soundtrack is a wonderful example of that. There are some really neat things about him as a person too,
Mhm.
because he did not study music in college. Like that's not what he went to a conservatory, I think he says, but yeah, he was a literature guy and taught French literature. And my favorite was when I asked him what era of French literature did you specialize in or is your favorite? And he said modern literature, from the
Mhm.
1700s,
Right.
which is low hanging fruit, I realize, to make a joke about that, but that does absolutely sound ridiculous to Americans. It just is crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so yeah,
No,
yeah,
yeah, real modern.
yeah, totally. Like Victor Hugo, he talks about too, and
Mm.
just hearing him say it correctly also was just like, oh my God,
Yeah, yeah.
we're supposed to say, you know? So, yeah, no, it was just a pleasure to learn those things about him and that he gets to start a program at the university in Bordeaux for music and sound design, which is very cool. So,
Neato.
yeah, so there's a lot of good stuff in that chat.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Hmm.
what other music did you want to hear?
Well, the next one I had written down was called Gardens of Plenty,
Oh yeah.
and I put a little note to go 20 seconds in on that one
Okay. We'll
too,
just
but
yeah, yeah. Gardens of Plenty from the top.
all right. Yeah, it's worth it. Yeah.
I just love how spontaneous it sounds, you know? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just great.
I
It's
know.
really great. It's
Yeah.
unique and it's cool. It like that one kind of sounded to me like almost like some sort of um like some kind of Zelda game that was extra sort of, ethnicity ambiguous. That's
Oh, yeah.
just kind of like but like a folky kind of world. Like you're in a town, but it's not any particular kind
Yeah.
of town that we have for real, but something
Yeah.
blended,
Yeah. 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 No, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The track right before that, which is spelled like the word envers, he pronounced it in a beautiful French way.
Uh-huh.
Or some, I mean, I
Envers.
can't do it justice. Um, but I would, and I'm so grateful he brought it up because I was going to ask him about it, and I totally would have been like envers. I didn't know that was I mean, whatever. Nothing else is in French in the soundtrack list. Maybe one other word. So yeah, that's my defense. But anyway, I really love that track.
Yeah.
Um, and this is a little bit of Envers. Envers. Again, it just sounds so spontaneous, right? Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like somebody else comes in now, but it's not. It's pizzicato now instead. It's like
Mm.
I'm gonna fast forward a little bit, even as lovely as that is.
Yeah, yeah, like all didgeridoo there and
Yep. Just a little music. Such good soundtrack. So that's this week. Did you have any more you wanted to add at the end here, or?
The only other one I had down besides the track number one was it's called A Bit of Fun, and I
Oh,
just thought it was a bit of fun. So
yeah.
maybe that's a good one to just end on.
Yes, let's listen to some of this. This is a bit of fun. Good shaker in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's also mic'd real close, you know.
yeah. So good. That's so good.
Yeah, that's super cool. Super cool.
Yep, very great soundtrack. I've been looking forward to this one for a long time. I interviewed him in December.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been sitting on it for a minute, but looking forward to sharing it. And we will do that on Friday and the video as well. Yeah, that'll all be coming to you Friday, and I hope you enjoy it. Anything else you want to say?
I don't think so. This is, being like an indie situation and stuff. It's not that it doesn't always apply, but if you like the music, buy it.
Definitely. It's on Bandcamp. Buy it. So worth it. Thomas Brunet, Chants of Sennaar. Two N's, two A's.
Yeah.
And yeah, find us on Discord. That link is down in the show notes. And we're on Patreon, patreon.com/level. And we're at levelwithemily.com. Thank you to Adam Selvage at Tiki Web Services. So yeah, that's all I got. And we'll be back here in a couple of weeks.